You won't believe what happened to me yesterday. My name's Claire, and I'm still recovering from an encounter with a woman who seemed to think she was the queen of the complex, and who had a secret that could land her in some serious trouble. Grab your popcorn. This one's a ride. It was an extremely hot day, the kind where the heat seems to bounce off the pavement, making everything feel like it's in a sauna. I've been looking forward to a swim all week. With my hectic life as a web developer, I rarely get a moment to myself, but the pool was my escape. I packed my things, swimsuit, towel, sunscreen, and a cold drink, and headed down to the pool, hoping for some quiet time. To my surprise, the pool was empty. Normally, it's packed with kids or families, but today it was just me, and it felt like paradise. I quickly changed and slipped into the water, allowing it to cool me down. For about 20 minutes, I swam lap after lap, clearing my mind and soaking up the peace. Then she showed up. I heard someone call out, and immediately I tensed up. Hey, what do you think you're doing? I stopped swimming and kept myself afloat in the water, a sinking feeling in my stomach. Standing on the edge of the pool was a woman I knew by sight, Tessa Hale from Building 5A. She wasn't someone I interacted with much, but I had seen her around, always with a scowl on her face. She carried herself like she owned the place. I couldn't help but notice she was already wearing a large, flowery sun hat and a brightly colored swimsuit, her arms crossed as she glared at me. I'm swimming, I said, trying to stay calm. Is there a problem? Her expression twisted, as if she had just bitten into something sour. Yes, there's a problem. This is our pool. You can't just come in here. I had a sinking feeling where this was going. I live here, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm in apartment 3B. This pool is for all residents. She scoffed. I've never seen you before. You probably snuck in here. Before I could respond, she pulled out her phone, tapping the screen furiously. I'm calling security, she yelled, though everyone in the building knew there was no security guard on duty. This is ridiculous, I muttered under my breath, feeling the situation getting absurd. But I wasn't going to let her ruin my time. I started swimming again, trying to drown out her increasingly hysterical voice as she spoke into the phone. Suspicious person, trespassing, and the ever-reliable, I don't feel safe. I swam on, ignoring her ranting, knowing the situation would only get worse. But what I didn't expect was how much further things would escalate. About 10 minutes later, she ended the call, still fuming. By now, other residents were leaning out of their windows, their curiosity piqued by the shouting. I could feel their eyes on me, a mix of confusion and concern. I wasn't going to give Tessa the satisfaction of seeing me frustrated, so I kept swimming. Finally, the police arrived. 2 officers stepped onto the pool deck, clearly caught off guard. Tessa wasted no time, rushing up to them and launching into a dramatic tale about how I was trespassing and how she didn't feel safe with me in her pool. She even added a tear or two for effect. One of the officers, a woman with a calm demeanor, approached me. Ma'am, could you tell me what's going on? I live here, I explained, gesturing to the building behind me. I was just swimming when this woman started accusing me of not belonging here. She called 911 saying I was trespassing. The officer nodded and then turned to Tessa. Do you have any proof that this woman doesn't live here? Tessa stammered, clearly caught off guard. Well, no, but I've never seen her before. The officer then turned back to me, asking, do you have identification with your address on it? I reached into my bag, pulled out my driver's license, and handed it to her. She glanced over it and then handed it back with a polite smile. Everything seems to be in order, ma'am. You're free to go. The officer then turned to Tessa, and the shift in her tone was palpable. Ma'am, calling 911 with false information is a serious offense. You need to be careful with how you use these resources. Tessa, realizing she was losing the battle, tried to backpedal. But I was just worried. I thought she was trespassing. The officer gave her a stern look before walking away, and I thought it was finally over. But as I was packing up to leave, another neighbor, Mrs. Taylor, approached me with a knowing look. Don't worry, Han, she said, patting my arm. Everyone knows Tessa's trouble. She's always making a scene. But this time, I think she's met her match. Mrs. Taylor leaned in closer. I heard something. Tessa's been lying about her background. Apparently, she's not who she says she is. I froze. Lying about her background? That was a huge claim. Mrs. Taylor went on to whisper, I've heard she's been hiding the fact that she's not even legally here. Some people think she's fudged her paperwork. I stood there, stunned. That was the kind of information that could change everything for Tessa. It wasn't just a matter of petty arguments. It could be something much more serious. Back in my apartment, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to dig deeper. It wasn't just about Tessa trying to embarrass me. It was about justice. She had tried to get me in trouble based on nothing but her own prejudice. If what Mrs. Taylor had said was true, then maybe Tessa was hiding something far worse. I decided to do some research. I started with what was easiest, her social media. Tessa wasn't exactly shy about showing off her luxurious life. Her posts were full of vacation pictures, trendy outfits, and self-congratulatory comments. As I scrolled through, I found nothing too unusual, just the usual show-off posts. But then, I remembered something she had said about fleeing from her home country to escape danger. It didn't quite fit with her wealthy lifestyle, so I started looking deeper into her background. A quick search revealed she was originally from a small Eastern European country, Kazakhstan. Intrigued, I dug further into the political situation there. Turns out, Kazakhstan's government was known for its harsh stance on dissent, and there had been numerous reports of human rights violations. If Tessa had claimed asylum based on fear of persecution, she would have needed to provide proof. But what if she had exaggerated her story, or even made it up completely? What if the whole thing was a lie? As the days went by, I couldn't stop thinking about Tessa's situation. There was something incredibly unsettling about the way she had tried to manipulate the system, using prejudice and false claims to make my life difficult. I wasn't sure how much of what Mrs. Taylor said was true, but it left me with one burning question. Was Tessa really hiding something more serious? My curiosity grew, and soon, the idea of uncovering the truth became a matter of principle. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about holding people accountable for their actions. What if Tessa had used her background to gain advantages she didn't deserve? And if so, what would the consequences be for her? I couldn't let it slide. As I continued my research, I discovered more layers to Tessa's story. With each piece of information I uncovered, the pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. It wasn't just about the lies she told me by the pool. It was about the system she had seemingly manipulated for years. And the more I learned, the clearer it became that she wasn't the victim she portrayed herself to be. In fact, her actions had the potential to affect more than just me. But I wasn't looking for revenge. This wasn't about getting back at her. It was about justice. She had tried to make me feel like an outsider, but in the end, I was just standing up for my right to be there, just like everyone else. I didn't want to see anyone else fall victim to the same tactics. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, and the truth might take time to surface. But one thing was for certain. I wasn't going to let her manipulate the situation any longer. The more I uncovered, the stronger I felt. This was about more than just a pool. This was about standing up for what's right. And sometimes that takes more courage than you think.